Mother Mary is called the Morning Star, the Queen of Heaven, and the Stella Maria, and also Our Lady of Navigators. This is related to how Inanna is called the Queen of Heaven and Inanna of the Evening, and how Ishtar is called the Queen of Heaven and Lady of the Evening Star, and also Light of the World. If you remember in the Bible, Christ calls himself the Light of the World and the Morning Star. And this is all relating to the fact that the Queen of Heaven is often represented symbolically by the planet Venus. And this goes across many different cultures, regardless of the representation of the figure, because Venus is the third brightest object in the sky after the sun and the moon. And it's also often called the twin sister of Earth because it's very similar in size. And the planet Venus appears in two separate places in the sky. The morning star is its first phase, and the evening star is its second phase. And it disappears for 3 days from the sky in between those two appearances. Now, not every culture was aware that both of those phases were the same planet, because they appear in such different places in the sky. But the ancient Sumerians did know this, and this is apparent in their mythology of Inanna, where in the stories, her movements parallel the movements of the planet Venus in the sky, down to her descent into the underworld and how she dies for 3 days, just like how Venus disappears from the sky for 3 days. And even like how in the Bible, Christ, Yeshua, Jesus, dies for 3 days. With the Romans, I'm not sure how aware they were of the fact that the morning star and the evening star were both the planet Venus, but they did have some sort of idea of that because they did know that Lucifer, the morning star, was sacred to the goddess Venus. Now, metaphorically or symbolically, the morning star and the evening star can be seen as representing the higher self and the lower self. In the Gnostic cosmology, this is explained as Sophia, the Holy Spirit or the divine spark, descending into the world, becoming the spirit trapped within the flesh, aka the soul. And the soul is not actually separate from the Holy Spirit, but a mirror image of the same spirit that is in everything and everyone. So again, the higher self and the lower self experiencing the illusion of separateness when they're actually one and the same. Again, similar to the morning star and the evening star, both being the planet Venus, even though they're being perceived as different. Another metaphor for the higher self and the lower self that's similar is Castor and Pollux. They represent the Gemini twins, the Gemini constellation, where one twin is divine and one is mortal. Again, higher self, lower self. Or there's also the Greek myth of Psyche and Eros. In this case, Psyche is the soul and Eros would not be Cupid, but rather the primordial Eros or the elder Eros, which is more like the one in the Orphic cult or the Orphic cosmology. So even though all of these different goddesses or archetypal mother figures are different representations, they're describing similar concepts. And so they have a lot of similar titles and names because, again, they're describing similar concepts. It's just the way that they're depicted is different because their depictions filtered through the perspectives of different cultures. So they're the same, but they're different, and it's not one or the other, it's both. And sorry, a reason why I mentioned that Mother Mary is called the Stella Maria and Our Lady of Navigators is because the morning star symbol is represented as this 8-point star. It's the same symbol as the Star of Bethlehem and the symbol of the Star of Inanna and the Star of Ishtar. This star has 8 points because it represents the 8 directions. It's the compass rose, hence also why the rose is considered sacred to Venus and why Mother Mary is called the mystical rose. So when I said that Mother Mary and Isis and Ishtar, Inanna, Aphrodite, Urania, Venus, Asherah, when I say that they're all the same thing, I'm not saying they aren't different and unique. They are, but they are also describing a lot of the same concepts at the same time. They're the same and they're different. It's not this or that, it's this and that.